Okay, justice. Don't worry, this isn't going to be like some kind of airy-fairy rant on the concept of justice. It's just the only word I can think of to tie together the three different topics that I want to discuss in the meager 15 minutes that Google YouTube has allotted me. See, I don't make a lot of videos anymore these days, so when I do make one, I've got to cover a lot of ground. London riots. There were riots in London. And they're over now, I know, but you guys don't have to ask me what I think about that. Anarchist, obviously, so I love it when riots happen. That's like Christmas for us. Now, to those who don't know the details, you know, all two of you, there was a gentleman by the name of Mark Duggan in Tottenham, which is a borough of London, who was shot and killed by the police. And they tried to frame him and make it out that he fired on them first, but then ballistic reports came back later that showed that the bullets they claimed he fired came from their guns and not his. And, you know, there was a non-violent protest in London, and the cops truncheoned some 17-year-old girl, which set everybody off, and then riot. Stores are getting looted, buildings are getting burned down, those car fires were so good. Oh, got my adrenaline going just looking at it. Good times, good times. Now, you know, of course the Home Secretary and the Prime Minister called the rioters criminals and not the murderous, lying cops, right? That's to be expected. But I've also seen a lot of people on the internet saying, like, oh, the rioters were just, you know, they didn't care about Mark Duggan, they just wanted to steal and loot. And, you know, let's get real on this for a second. Of course, not every person participating in the riot was like brimming over with compassion for this dead guy they didn't know. They're not all bleeding hearts for Mark Duggan. But from what I gather, Tottenham is like the poor area of London, and there's always kind of been friction between the people who live there and the cops. So like the parallels with the LA riots are impossible to ignore. So if their only motivation was looting and burning shit down, so what? I mean, so what? Good on you, as a Londoner might say. Good for them. It's good to see Brits rioting. I'm glad you guys have it in you. So to all the London rioters, for standing up to the tyranny of the British government, you are now honorary Americans, whether you want to be or not. So I'll get your orientation packages out to you, which will include a smartphone, a handgun, maybe some cheeseburgers, I don't know. Anyway, never let it be said that Brits don't know how to party. London riots, I support it 100%. Good times. Speaking of time, how am I doing? I'm doing great on time. Okay. On to the next topic. The West Memphis 3 are out of jail. They're free. After 20 years for a crime they didn't commit, which they were only able to be convicted for without evidence because, you know, it was the height of a witch hunt, a moral panic on Satanism and occult abuse in the 1980s. Well, they're free now, but it's kind of bullshit because they had to cop a plea, whereby, you know, even though they maintain their innocence, they cop a guilty plea in order to get a reduced sentence and get out, and that way Damien Eccles doesn't have to get executed. So I guess it was the smart decision to make, but they probably waived whatever right they would have had to pursue some kind of civil tort um, and sue the state for everything they're fucking. I mean, these guys lost their childhoods. They lost 20 years of the best 20 years of their lives. Um, I think it's reasonable that they should get something for that, and they won't. And this move is obviously an attempt by the courts to save face for an obvious fuck up, and it really just makes them look worse. So I guess that's the one good thing to come out of this, is that it discredits the justice system. It shows how retarded it all is. And then, by the way, chunks of earth, you fucking idiot, this right here is why the death penalty is a bad idea. Since I know you're a death penalty supporter, we talked about that on Blog TV, you're fucking stupid, chunks of earth. This is why. This is why. Innocent guy almost died. Doesn't bother you even a little bit? Is that just the exception to the rule? Shut up. Anyway, now on to the next issue, the third topic I wanted to discuss, and this one isn't ripped directly from the headlines like the first two. It's actually something that I'm late to the party on. But I'm not sure how many people actually know about it. I'm not saying this didn't get media coverage, I'm sure it did, but I think the media probably played it down a little bit, maybe de-emphasized it a little bit. Either that or it just flew under my radar because I work so hard to ignore the corporate media entirely. Maybe it got so much coverage in the mainstream corporate media that the alternative media sources I usually depend on didn't feel they needed to say anything. But I just found out about this, even though it happened last year. It's new to me. How many of you guys know that Wesley Snipes is in jail? Wesley Snipes is in jail. He reported to jail on December 9th of 2010, and his projected release date is